Hello everyone, welcome back to Family Canning in the Sip. You know, every once in a while you get lucky and you find stuff that you've just given up looking for. This past Thursday, we were actually out doing some shopping and getting out of the house. And lo and behold, we found English peas.
We were on an adventure,
We were
thanks to our
definitely-
GPS.
Definitely on an adventure. It was leading us in all kinds of directions and I was getting aggravated. Anyway, we ended up buying 20 pounds of English peas. They were frozen, but that's okay.
We found them.
We found them, now we can can some. That was really the only vegetable that we didn't have. So what we're fixing to do is we're fixing to open up all these bags and dump them into this big boiler, or whatever you want to call it, big pot. And we're gonna blanch these peas for 2 minutes. And then we're gonna start canning. And I'm gonna tell you a few little tricks about canning English peas when we come back. But we're gonna go ahead and start dumping the peas in and blanch them for 2 minutes. And when we're done blanching them, we'll be right back. We'll see you then. Okay, we blanched our English peas. We blanched them for 2 minutes. Had the jars in the oven warming at 200 degrees. I just got them out. We're gonna start filling up the jars with the peas. And then we'll add our cooking liquid, which you can use this if you want to, but I also got a pot of boiling water on the stove just in case we don't have enough. And like I was telling you earlier, the trick for your peas is we're going to put 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of sugar, because a lot of times, if you remember back in the day, when they can these peas, they can them immediately after they shell them. Well, after they've set out for a short period of time, they tend to lose their sweetness. So we're adding the sweetness back to it. Because if you're like me, you remember those sweet peas being sweet. So that's what we're gonna do.
So we went on an adventure the other day looking for beef bones to make bone broth with. And they gave us the name of a business out in Crystal Springs, Mississippi that would have beef bones. So I plug in the address into the GPS and we went down roads I never knew existed in Mississippi. So we went on an adventure to Wilson's Meat Packing in Crystal Springs. And of course they didn't have any beef bones. So we're walking around the store, looking around, and lo and behold, what do I see? The one thing that we have not been able to come across this year was English peas. And I adore English peas when I'm not doing keto. Because if you're on keto, you can't have them. So when I take my keto break, I eat all the English peas I can. Because English peas have a lot of starch in them. Starch turns to sugar. So you can't have it. And our daughter-in-law is not here today with the grandbaby. Her granddaddy had a stroke several months ago and he just recently got out of rehab. So she drove up to be with him in Aberdeen, Mississippi. And spend the weekend up there getting to see him with the coronavirus. Being able to see our loved ones in nursing homes and rehabs has been impossible. So that's where her and Wheeler are today. And then our youngest and his fiance are at cruising the coast. So we're canning. I wish y'all could smell these. They really need to invent smell-o-vision. Because they smell amazing. with these peas, we're gonna leave a 1-inch headspace because they're going into the pressure canner. And peas and beans have a tendency to swell. So we do not want these to explode in the canner.
If you notice, we're leaving the peas a little more than an inch below inch headspace. We want the liquid to come up over the top of them. And I'm sure some of you, if you can a lot, especially when it comes to black eyed peas, purple hull peas, butter beans, speckled butter beans, if you overfill or bring your peas and stuff up to an inch headspace in those jars and then put your liquid in, those peas are still soaking up water. And about an hour or so after taking them out of the canner, you're going, where'd all my water go? So with those, you want to fill your jars up about 2/3 because they're going to swell.
And again, if you're starting off in canning, this is one of the easier ones that you can can. And start off with the pressure canner and get used to it. And of course, I don't know if y'all can figure this out, but I'm almost done. Big D over here has no issues. My 5'2" self has to have a stepstone. Huh, honey?
That's right.
I had some peas escape.
Don't let them escape. Pick them up. Another thing you don't want to do with peas and stuff is you don't want to pack the jars. Just let them go in there loosely.
And if you put too many peas in, you can always use a spoon and take them out.
I don't think we're going to end up with 16 quarts, but we're close. Might need to strain these over into that big strainer.
We can do that.
Get the rest of them.
This one actually gets down in here better. So when you watch our videos, when you get done watching, if you have a comment and a question about what we're doing, how we're doing it, what we did, please let us know. We started this Facebook page to help people get back into canning. And sometimes it can be intimidating, and it's not intimidating once you get used to it, once you get the hang of it. So we definitely want y'all, especially with the way the world is going now, when the grocery stores ran out of everything, we don't know how to can toilet paper, but if we did, we would do that too. But to make sure that your family, your elderly, parents, aunts and uncles have food, and if the grocery stores run out, anything can happen. You have food at home to take care of your family, and not just you and your husband or your children, but those who can't get out. Don's parents are 93 and 94?
92 and 94.
92 and 94. And they can't get out. So we will always have food, take over there, and they can open it up and eat it. So just think about that when you actually think about canning. And like I said, if you get kind of hesitant about starting the canning process, start with water bath canning. Just make sure that you know what you can and what you can't water bath can, because there is botulism. A funny story I will tell you, we went to a produce market, and I will not tell you the name of it, and the lady was telling us about her first time canning tomatoes, that she had grown her tomatoes and she was so excited, and she put them in jars and put them in the cabinet. And several weeks later, she opened up the cabinet and all the lids and everything had exploded. But nobody had ever told her that she needed to water bath can her tomatoes and to put some salt in there and to go through the whole canning process. She thought she could take her tomatoes, put them in jars, put them in a cabinet. So, for those of you that don't have the experience with canning, that's why we're here. So please ask us any questions you have. Comment if there's a different way you do something. Our way is not the only way. We want y'all to get comfortable with canning.
You start adding the salt and the sugar. I got the salt.
Okay. So we're gonna add a teaspoon of sugar to each jar.
1/8 of a teaspoon of canning salt to each jar.
Today I've actually been trying to work on building a website, so it's kind of easier to find all of our videos, our recipes. We're gonna do over the top chili, I think tomorrow, which is amazing. We need another room so we can have more room for our canning. I got you yours. Once you've been canning for a while, you know where your 1-inch headspace is. If you don't know where your 1-inch headspace is, then use the tool to find out where it's at. Or you can always get one of the funnels that we have that has it marked on the side of it. And I'm gonna tell you what, right now, these have been the best investment. And as soon as I get our website built, I will link all the stuff that we use, tell you where we got them. Oops.
You're trying to spill mine, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, this is extremely relaxing to do. Takes your mind off of everything else that's going on in the world.
We will debubble this and add any additional liquid that we need to.
You can use these. You can use a chopstick. You're just going down the sides of the jars to release the bubbles. And why do you want to release the bubbles, honey?
Well, all the air out that you can possibly get out.
I'm also in the process of setting up an email account. So if you don't feel comfortable going on our YouTube page, asking a question, we will have an email account that you can actually email us. And we will respond in a quickly manner. Again, on everything that you do in Canon, you've got to wipe the rims of the jars before you put your lids on. And you may have to add some lemon. Y'all don't know how excited I am to find these. Who needs Christmas when you find English peas? And if you're a little worried about picking up a pressure canner, which I can't pick that one up, that's Don's monster canner. Then get your husband, that one definitely is going to need water. Get your teenage son to help you pick up the canner. And if you don't want to get into pressure canning, then stick with water bath canning, and at least water bath can what you can. Just make sure that you follow the USDA guidelines.
Really, with the pressure canning, as long as you follow the rules, the safety stuff on them, you'll be all right. Just like with this canner, this is the All-American 941. It's the big one. It's the biggest one they make. I should be able to put all 16 of these jars in it, which is why I pulled it out, because I knew we was gonna have a bunch, and I wanted to do one cooking at one time.
How long will these cook?
We'll pressure can for 40 minutes. But with this one, I can't, once I load it up, I can't pick it up and move it off the stove to help it cool down faster. So I'll actually let the jar sit in it for over an hour before we do anything else with it. Let's get water.
Put your rings finger tight. Don't want to over tighten these when they go into the pressure canner. But you also don't want them completely loose either. Fingertip tight, that's what I was trying to say. And we have been so excited to get our daughter-in-law Paige and our grandbaby involved in the cannon. When our oldest son comes home, we'll have another one cannon.
And we're working on the youngest one and his fiance to get them involved.
They don't have any interest because they know that we're going to do it.
Pretty much right.
And all they got to do is open the top.
All right, like I was telling you earlier, we got the AA All-American 941. It's the big boy of the batch. I've already got the water warming, as you can see. If all goes well, with your regular mouth lids, I should be able to get all 16 quarts in there. Keep your fingers crossed.
I'm going to attempt to come over here and video it.
All right, well, I'll come this side. I may have to rearrange the jars a little bit because there is another plate that'll go on top of these.
Y'all, ain't those pretty? So next week when we have time, I'm gonna make some strawberry jam, keto style, using monk fruit. So I can at least have strawberry jam while I do my keto. And I will video that for you. He's rearranging the jars so that will fit. And then he can get a second layer on here. That's the cool thing about this Big Daddy canner, y'all. This thing is huge. It's huge. Did I say it was huge?
You said it was huge.
It's huge. Don't forget, on these water bath canners, you want to oil.
And a water bath canner.
Ah, y'all. On them days again. The pressure canner, you're gonna oil this, and you're gonna oil the inside of your ring because you do not have a rubber gasket on the All-Americans. It's metal to metal.
And on your ones that have the rubber gaskets, you want to spray them with Pam or something along that line. They may tilt over or whatever in the counter, and that's fine. That is fine. Make sure I've got them as centered as I can possibly get it.
So while he's doing that, I'm gonna show you our family. There is Paige, Carlson, and Wheeler, Zach and Marley, and that is all of us.
I always wipe around where it seals it with olive oil. The same thing on here.
And I think I cut him off last time. I was messing with one of the dogs, so I'm gonna go through this. He'll go through this process again.
I like to make sure I'm pretty much even all the way around. When I'm not, and I see that I'm not, I'll tighten one side down and loosen the other side up
He's talking about this gap here.
to bring it up. And then I crisscross. Same thing. Now I might have to bring this side up.
They say you have an even seal all the way around.
You'll see some people that just start latching it up. Not me.
He's very meticulous about his latching process.
Back it off a little bit.
You don't want to crank down on them, you just want to make sure that they're tight.
Turn the heat all the way up to high. And we're gonna wait for it to start steaming. Once it starts steaming, we've got a good steady flow of steam coming out. We're gonna time it for 10 minutes to make sure we get all the air out of the canner. While it's doing that, it'll probably build up a little bit of pressure, but I'm gonna keep it as close to 10 pounds pressure as I possibly can, which means I'll have to monitor the heat right at the beginning. I'll probably be cutting it down. Once you figured it out on your stove or your cooktop, you'll know automatically where to go to. Like with mine, I'm gonna go just in between the E and the D on medium. And that's where it's just gonna jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. But if you keep it going and it's jiggling fast, your pressure is building up. And it's constantly jiggling to build that pressure. You wanna keep it between 10 and 11 pounds. Also, the All-American canners, if you have a glass top or a ceramic top cooktop, can't use them, too heavy. That's where you want to find a Presto canner. They're pretty light. You can do, I believe it's 7 quarts at a time in a 23 quart canner?
I believe so.
I believe it is. I believe that's what we gave Paige. I think you can do 7 quarts at a time in it, or 16 pints. Is that right? 14 pints, 16 pints. But you can put that on your glass top or your ceramic top stove. But once this comes up and starts shooting steam, I'll bring you back and I'll show you the amount of steam coming off of it. And like I said, we'll count for 10 minutes, and then once that's done, I'll bring you back when I'm putting the weight on it. And it's gonna be 10 pounds of pressure for 40 minutes. And we'll be back in a little while. Okay, it's been going about 10 minutes now. I turned off the other lights in the kitchen so you can see the steam. It's actually shooting to about, well, it's shooting higher than what the camera can see. But you can see right here, it's shooting pretty high. I'm going to go do 10 pounds pressure. We're going to go for 40 minutes. Once it builds up to 10 pounds, I'll start the timer. I'm going to go ahead and put the weight on here now. 10 pounds pressure. Like I said, once it starts jiggling and it jiggles the second time, then I'll start the timer on it. And then I'll cut my heat back, like I said, between E and D on medium on my stove. It'll be different on yours, I'm sure. But when I get ready to do that, when it's right at 10 pounds pressure, I'll bring you back. We'll see you then. Okay, we're coming up on the 10 pounds of pressure. A little 10-pound weight up there. It should start jiggling here any second now. It's starting to shoot out a little steam up underneath it. Like I said, on the second jiggle, I'm going to start the timer on my oven for 40 minutes. And then once I see where the pressure is going to be, I'll start turning my heat back. Because like I said, I want to keep it right at 10 pounds pressure. We're approaching 10 pounds right now. It's wanting to jiggle. Almost sounds like a steam engine trying to start. Well, I got a good jiggle right off the bat, so I'm going to go ahead and start my timer. 40 minutes is what we're going to go with. Like now, I'm fixing to cut my heat back. Because I don't want that jiggling like that the whole time. Because if I let it stay like that, it'll build up more than 10 pounds pressure. And I don't want it to do that. That's what I want it to do. I want it to stop and then jiggle again. I want about a 15-20 second intermittent between jiggles. And I'm staying right at 10 pounds pressure right now. I don't know if you can see that or not. That's where I want to stay. I want this to start. It'll start back jiggling. It should start back jiggling. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. As long as I'm staying right at 10 pounds, we're good. I do not want it to drop underneath 10 pounds. When this is done in 40 minutes, I'll be back and we'll get everything out and we'll show you what everything looks like. And we'll see you then. All right, everybody, the pressure's dropped and I've already removed the weight. And I'm gonna take off the lid so you know how to deal with the lid on these things. Same way as I put them on opposite each side.
Yeah, honey. Honey.
I'm sorry. And again, with these things, you want to make sure when you open it up, point it away from you. So if there's any steam, it goes away from you.
Goes everywhere. The bees.
I'm gonna start taking them out.
Sorry if I'm making y'all dizzy. And there's usually not much water on these.
Not the top rack. After I pick the jar with one of these, I put it directly on this and I release the pressure because the pressure you put on these rings could cause the top to come off on you. All right, Willow, you got the move, girl.
Smells really, really good. Always make sure to get the water off the tops. What widow? You smell the peas? Mm. You smell the peas pretty good.
Now you see why I went and bought the big canner. That's 16 quarts. 16 quarts versus a smaller canner doing 8 quarts at a time or 7 quarts at a time. I believe it's 7 quarts at a time
Yes.
in the smaller canners. So one large canner and I'm able to do that in a short period of time. Now all we'll do is we'll sit and let them cool, wait for the pings. I'm gonna cover the tops up with towel. And we'll just sit back and listen for the pings. We hope this has helped you some as far as canning vegetables are concerned. Canning vegetables is one of the easiest processes there is out there. Usually just a cooking liquid, whether it's water or a broth, depending on you, if you're doing something special, but it's mainly just water, a little bit of salt, and that's pretty much it. As far as vegetables are concerned, salt, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. We put a little bit in it just to put a little bit in it. But that's pretty much it. you see what everything looks like. That's after 40 minutes of 10 pounds pressure. That's about 243 degrees inside that pressure counter. That's what, 20 some odd degrees above boiling point. That's why you pressure can. Get that temperature way, way, way up there. Well, I hope this has helped. If y'all have any questions, leave a comment down below. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel. And please like and share our post on Facebook. Until next time, family canning in the sip, and we'll see y'all later. God bless.